welcome to Media7. I'm Russell Brown. There has been but one story in New Zealand this past week and a half, that of the Christchurch earthquake and its terrible consequences. And in the telling of that story, there has been courage, compassion and controversy. If ever a video track had no need of a voiceover, it's this one.
There have been reports of a huge earthquake in Christchurch. We don't have official details yet, but our reporter Jessica Maddock joins us now from Christchurch. Jessica, what's happened?
I'm standing in Victoria Square in the City Centre, and it's packed with people who are hugging, some people are crying, sirens are going constantly.
This is a live earthquake. You can see the floors trembling and the rocks are falling down.
The damage is extensive, far more so in the city centre potentially than in September.
Way bigger than last time. I think multiple buildings down. We've got multiple entrapments all over the city.
This building, the Pine Gould building, looked like it had been hit by a bomb. Many people remain trapped. Rescue workers were dealing with the worst possible scenario.
The Mayor of Christchurch, Bob Parker, has declared a state of emergency in Christchurch. Police are now working with the Defence Forces, who have extra resources there just by coincidence.
You might not recognise it, it is Hagley Park and it's turned into Tent City.
As daylight comes tomorrow, I think that we need to prepare ourselves for what is going to be a significant number of casualties.
With me now is a past Media7 guest, David Haywood, whose personal story was one of the first told for a world audience because he told it himself. His vivid account of the earthquake which destroyed his house but spared his family appeared in The Guardian little more than half a day after the event. Remarkably, it was largely written on his mobile phone as the family sheltered in a tent outside their ruptured house. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Russell.
How's the house? Not good?
Not good. It is broken into two parts, unfortunately, but, you know, it's only a house. We have our lives and, you know, unfortunately, quite a few people don't anymore. So, you know, we're just grateful that we were lucky.
I recall one thing in particular from what you wrote after the September quake, this particularly selfless thought that I thought that went through your head. You thought, I hope we're near the epicentre because if we're not, someone else is coping it really badly. Was there a similar thought going through your head this time?
No, not this time. Quite clearly we were. I mean, if we weren't at the epicentre would have been, you know, unendurable. You know, there was widespread devastation, but I was kind of imagining something a lot worse. I was really surprised to find out that it was a 6.3, but obviously just very shallow and very close.
Well, when the call came from The Guardian to ask you whether you wanted to write an eyewitness account, did you immediately say yes? Because I presume you had quite a lot more to worry about at that point.
Well, actually, you know, we didn't, because night had fallen. We were out in a tent in our backyard, the four of us in a two-man tent, all very, very cosy. And I was actually on my phone writing up or beginning to construct something to put up on my blog, because I realised it was something that needed to be brought to international attention, because we'd need international search and rescue and all that sort of thing. It needed to be communicated just how devastating it was. So, yeah, when the Guardian contacted me, it was really no problem to do that.
And this was your fancy new Android phone that you only just got.
Yes, I can thoroughly endorse Android as an operating system for phones. It was really, really great. And very much in contrast to my previous, you know, grandmotherly Nokia that I'd had at the previous earthquake, where I could do nothing and communicate really with nobody.
I think that's one of the fascinating things about what happened here is the extraordinary role of mobile phones.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, with the last earthquake, Twitter was where we were getting our most useful news, because we wanted to know local things about where's the electricity down our street connected up to, do people have running water nearby, and as people got connected, they were tweeting it. So that was really great for us in the last earthquake, and it's been similar this time, although we've been obviously ordered out of the city by our midwife because we've just got a new baby, and there was a fear of dysentery and various things like that. So we were just...
So even very early on you had some idea of what was going on in the rest of the city?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had a good idea. We were actually also listening to Radio New Zealand, I've got to say, because they're, you know, reliable and they're good at filtering the you know, unreliable information from the reliable. I guess they were giving us the big picture and our phones were giving us the little picture of the people that we knew and, you know, obviously checking that everyone was okay.
Well, I could recall your wife Jen sent a two-word message, "We unhurt."
Yeah, I mean...
Which a lot of people were very relieved to see. And that story was replicated over and over again, wasn't it?
I mean, considering she's a professor of linguistics, I'm a bit disappointed in the grammatical quality of that tweet. But under the circumstances, I guess we'll let that slide.
How long was it before you were able to see pictures of what had happened elsewhere in the city? And was that a shock when you saw them?
Yeah, well, really, actually, just seeing the montage coming into this program, that's the first time I've seen a lot of those images. So, yeah, I mean, the first thing that we had an idea of the widespread nature of it, because it was very localised, the previous earthquake, really localised to what, you know, the suburb that we lived in and a couple of others, was our tent started leaking and we got this delayed text from somebody in the west of the city saying, "We still have all our electricity, please come and stay with us." And we thought, yay, you know, we don't have to be in a leaking tent with a 3-week-old baby. So we drove through the city, you know, without the street lights and just, you know, huge cracks in the road. It was a very, very nerve-wracking drive.
I have to ask you, as a scientist, what did you make of the Campbell Live interview with Ken Ring, which is, weirdly enough, has become the most controversial piece of media of the entire...
Well, I have some sympathy with John Campbell because, you know, astrology and all that sort of thing is very, very frustrating and very, very annoying.
Yeah. You predicted earthquakes on February 3rd, February 6th, February 13th, February 18th, 19th, 21st and 25th. But what you often do is that you also say it could be 3 days either side. Now, if you add 3 days either side to those dates, you cover off the entire month, Mr. Ring.
I think it did have to be dealt with because I do know that people are buying into it. I've got a neighbour who's just beside herself because she's worried about March 20 and she says, "Oh, Ken Ring predicted the September earthquake and he predicted the one, you know, in February and now he's predicted another one equally as bad in March," which of course he didn't do. Well, at least he predicted earthquakes the whole time, so he had to be right one of those times. But I don't know, I always think, I mean, this is not something that I am very good at applying to myself, but it's just not worth arguing with the rational people. And I think they would have been better to address it by just getting a geologist, a statistician to say, look, this is why you shouldn't pay any attention to what he's saying. You shouldn't worry about it because, you know, there is no scientific validity in the sort of thing that he's promoting. But, you know, there was a lot of... What you end up when you're dealing with irrational people, as I've discovered personally, is you kind of end up sort of shouting at them, which is kind of what poor old John Campbell ended up doing.
He did indeed. Just very briefly, as an engineer, do you have a view on the reconstruction of the city? Is this something we should be talking about?
Yeah, I think it is, because while we don't want to obviously downplay any of the horrors that have gone on, it is an opportunity to do things a lot better. Christchurch was really well planned initially, and with cheap oil and that sort of thing, it's started to sprawl. It's started to be not quite as good as it could be, and I think this has given us an opportunity with so many roads destroyed, you know, to do things like, you know, put some cycling infrastructure in there. Obviously, you know, you're insulating all the new buildings that are replacing the old ones, all that sort of thing. There are things that we can do to improve. I mean, there's an opportunity as well as a terrible disaster.
Indeed. David Hayward, thank you, and best of luck.
Oh, thank you very much.
After the break, the Christchurch media organisations who themselves became part of the drama and heartbreak of that day.